found the GroomPod. Welcome to our virtual salon. My name is Susie, and I'm your host. I'm a mobile groomer from Seattle, Washington, and anybody who knows me will tell you I love to talk, especially about my job. And one of my favorite people to talk to is my friend and mentor and the co-star of this show, the curator of ingredients, Miss Barbara Bird.
Susie, it's so good to be here, and I'm so glad to have a buddy to talk to about the recent issue of Groomer to Groomer. Let's get into it.
All right, Barbara. I'm over here wallowing in the rain, the first rains of the season, I'm sure, but I'm enjoying it. Welcome to episode 459 of the GroomPod, recorded on September 21st, 2025 in Snohomish, Washington and Greenville, South Carolina. This podcast is brought to you by our kind sponsors, Best Shot, Show Season, Precision Sharp, Groomer, and Stasco. And if you guys would like to support us, there's a couple ways you can do that. You can go to the website, thegroompod.com, and right on the front of the first page is a button that says donate. That money goes directly to Barbara for her experiments and to thank her for being on the show and basically just give her a tip if you guys like to do that. But if you'd like to support the show on more of a monthly or yearly manner, you can go to the Patreon button, which is in the same general area, and click on that and subscribe to us on Patreon. This week, we're going to, as Barbara was leading to, go over the issue of Groomer to Groomer magazine that came out in September. What's new this week is brought to you by Groomer software. If you haven't found Groomer, you're missing out. Groomer is an all-in-one software solution for your grooming business. Whether you are a solo mobile groomer or manage several shops, Groomer has everything you need. 24-hour online booking and forms, routing, credit card processing, reminders, Google Calendar and QuickBooks integration, and so much more. And the best customer service anywhere. Shop mobile or house call, Groomer has you covered. And they're giving us a free month. Just enter GroomPod22 in the coupon code. So last week, I did a really horrible description of how you figure out how to charge hourly for your dog grooming. And when I listened back to it, I was like, oh my, nobody's going to understand that. So just disregard that. I was going to leave it off, but then it would have been a really short show. It's kind of funny to listen to me struggle to explain ineffectively how to price your dogs hourly, but I do really believe in the hourly pricing of dogs. So I just wanted to apologize for that.
Which is interesting because that's a subject that Jennifer Bishop Jenkins covered in this issue of Groomer to Groomer. So we'll get on to that. We'll have a chance to talk some more about that.
Good. It was horrible to listen to. You know, I listened to the show like 3 times. I record and when I'm editing.
If I heard myself and I hated it, I would have to send you a revised recording or something. I wouldn't be able to stand it. That's why I don't listen to the show.
To my credit, we have 458 episodes, and this is the first time that I've listened to one and I went, well, that made no sense, Susie. It's not that it didn't make sense. It just was not clearly presented, and I obviously did not use AI at all for that portion.
Nor did you write it out well. It was just, maybe it wasn't as bad as you think. Maybe some people enjoyed it and some people understood it and liked it even if they didn't quite get it.
I swallowed it the first time when I was spitting it out of my mouth. The second time I heard it, I was like, By the third time I was listening to that area, I was like, no, this doesn't make it very clear at all to someone who has no idea what's going on in my head. Not many people really have an idea of what's going on in my head.
Yeah, including yourself.
Yeah. So I had a visit with some people who got 2 German Shepherd puppies. They're both mixes, wow. I think, but
2 German Shepherd. Well, they can have a couch full.
This is foster gone awry in a big way. So they called up German Shepherd Rescue locally, and the one guy is a DJ, has been in the industry for over 30 years as a DJ. Recently retired, got kicked off the air because they went to no DJs. And he has been doing like charity auctions. He does charity auctions and he sets up the lighting and the sound. And he met the people from German Shepherd Rescue. Then he called them and he said he's looking for puppies. And they said, well, would you like to foster a few German Shepherd puppies? He has a 14-year-old beagle now, just a little old lady beagle, the smaller version, compact size. Nice little polite, run out the door and up the street if you let her, but basically an old lady beagle. And he brings home 2 4-month-old German Shepherd puppies. No, 3. He brought home 3, right? That he was fostering. And they said you can have one of the 3 and the other 2 have to go to different homes because they don't adopt out siblings to the same household. Which I thought that was interesting. Because at this point, if you get 2 dogs the same age, whether they came from the same litter or a different litter, they're going to do this sibling thing. Anyway, at least I believe that. So he brought 3 home, fell in love with all 3, had to choose one, which was difficult. So he chose one to keep and they adopted out the other 2. And then they found another litter and they said, hey, we have a single dog that is looking for a home. So they brought that dog home. So they have Teddy and Tilly, and so different dogs you could not possibly imagine. I think one might have Ridgeback in it and the other one might have Husky in it. We've got one with ears the size of bats and the other one with the adorable little drop ears. Well, the one that has the ears the size of bats will not let anyone do anything with him. He drops to the ground and he screams and he flails and he freaks out and he panics. So I went over there to try to work with him. I got 2 nails done with his permission and a dew claw. So 2 regular nails and a dew claw. But he's going to be a project. That's where some of my scratches came from. But what adorable dogs. So they've got these 2 dogs and the 14-year-old beagle. And German Shepherd Rescue calls them again with a litter of 8 puppies that have come up from California. And Kurt says, okay, I guess. So they give him 3 more puppies. So they've got 6 dogs in the house. Some of them are really young, but then there's 2 teenage-ish dogs, and then there's the old lady dog. And they're not in a big house. It was crazy over there. It's just crazy. Talk about foster fails. I'm like, no, you cannot have 6 dogs, Kurt. No. You need to have a life. 6 dogs is no life. I mean, that's a lot of work. But it'll be interesting, a good behavior case. And then I lost a human this week.
You lost one?
A human. Yeah, I lost a human.
Human?
Yeah. A guy who took a dog from a guy who died in the same senior housing. So this poor dog gets passed around senior housing. Now the dog doesn't have a home again. We're trying to figure out what to do. She's really old. I suggested to them that it would be okay if they chose to put the dog down because it's difficult to have somebody take a dog that's probably in the last 6 months of its life in an assisted living / senior housing where there's a bunch of people who are borderline the same timeline. You just don't want to end up there. So anyway, that was my week. And did anything you had go on, or should we just forge right ahead into Groomer to Groomer?
Well, no, I just wanted to share with you that my Maltese Little, a.k.a. Little Bitch, her skin condition is back with a revenge.
Oh.
So we're starting over again. And my friend Crystal Dunn in Tucson listened to the show where I talked about her skin issue last time. And she messaged me and said, you might want to consider diet, especially if you're feeding chicken, because I've had a lot of dogs lately that have turned up to be allergic to chicken, which makes sense because it's one of those foods that you feed a lot of that has been in the forefront for years as a beef alternative. I kind of wanted to resist it, but I thought, well, why don't I? So I've changed their diet, and they're now getting Rachel Ray, Nutrish, beef, peas, and brown rice. It's a kibble, and they have bad teeth. So I cover it with bone broth and stick it in the microwave for a minute and a half. and then stir it and let it sit for like 15 or 20 minutes until it cools down. And then that softens it enough so the dogs can eat it. They're eating it well, but I still got the problem. And so one of the advertisements in the current issue of Groomer to Groomer in the back pages was an ad for it's called Manuka Vet, and it's a Manuka honey
Oh, I saw that ad.
to use as a wound healer.
Yeah.
And I thought, maybe instead of trying to bathe her 3 times a week in my bathtub, I'm going to try topically applying that. And then as a backup, I have coming in another couple of weeks the honey plus silver. I mean, when I saw the ad, I kind of followed it and found out that it was available on Amazon, which was a good thing. And I said, well, why not support somebody that's advertising in our industry journal? So, yeah, we'll know in a couple of weeks whether the honey is good enough or if it's a big mess or whatever. And I might even try a little on some of my scalp psoriasis. I have a terrible problem.
Oh, that's horrible. That would drive me crazy, just like my eyes. Anyway.
Oh, yeah, I have a bad problem. Well, so I know diet takes a long time.
Yeah, 6 to 8 weeks.
I know that.
Yeah, I thought so.
I know that. I was the first vendor of pet health food in Tucson. And I sold healthy pet food. I used to sell cornucopia and then Nature's Recipe before it went national. And I thought, well, why not do the diet thing? So I even took them off their morning cookie, and I doing this peanut butter bits for their. They don't care what they get. They just want to go out and pee and then have a treat. So
yeah, I know what that's like. I wish somebody gave me a treat when I peed. All right, well, let's take a break, and then we'll get on to discussing that Groomer to Groomer trade magazine that we are so grateful to have.
Show Season has a great enzymatic cleaner called Kennel Fresh. And you dilute it with warm water, and it smells good, and then it evaporates to be a deodorant. As the Kennel Fresh dries, it's enzymatic. It eats the bacteria and the odor source. So it's really good stuff. You can use it indoors or out. Find it at your local distributors or showseasongrooming.com.
The GroomPod and Precision Sharp would like to invite you to check out the newest precise cut shear called Lynx. Its patented design features a thumb ring that slides the length of the handle for perfect ergonomic placement of your thumb. Slide it, lock it into place, and get your best grooms on. Check it out at precisionsharp.com. Ready, groomers? Here comes our first appointment. All right, we're going to jump right into reviewing the things we liked and didn't like about Groomer to Groomer this month. So, Barbara, do you want to start off?
I was hoping we could kind of go right through the whole issue.
Okay.
I mean,
that sounds good.
Or I can change it up.
No, let's go through the issue. Let's do it that way.
So I got the digital issue, not the hard copy. And the first page that I turned to has a new clipper by Andis made especially for the wide braids. I think that's a great idea.
Yes.
Because I'm sure that the wide blades put a greater strain on the standard clipper and overheat the clipper rapidly. And this is made to not do that.
Also, the sharpeners are not loving sharpening the wide blades.
They're not loving it. Why?
I don't know if it's more difficult or there's just more surface area, or it wears differently or what, but I remember Randy mentioning it. Randy, by the way, who won Sharpener of the Year, which is so cool.
Yay!
Yeah, I definitely think it's warranted because you have to have a stronger blade drive to drive that length of cutter blade.
I am particularly interested in the ads because marketing and seeing how our products are sold to us, the psychology that they use, so on and so forth. That's important to me. So the next ad was Groomer's Edge. And the main thing that they're marketing this time around is the 50 to 1. Everybody wants to claim that their product can be diluted 50 to 1. I think that's okay, but you kind of lose the value of all the different kinds of shampoo when when you're diluting everything 50 to 1 because you've got like maybe 75% water anyway. So you kind of lose the value of any goody ingredients that you might have. I'm not too crazy about 50 to 1. What do you think?
I think the appeal of 50 to 1 is that you're not paying to ship water. Because that's always something in the back of my mind. Do I want to pay to ship water when I could just add the water from home? Because I'm already paying for this water here. So I think that's the appeal. But what you don't think about is the concept of using a 50 to 1 shampoo where you're just putting a little bit in. Everybody overuses it. You can be certain that everybody's like diluting not 50 to 1, more like 20 to 1 or 16 to 1 when they're diluting it, because that's more what we're used to. So I bet they're making money off of us overusing the shampoo when we could be really stretching that out. But then there's the other side is, does it stay fresh? Because unless you're using that gallon for all of your dog bathing, then it's going to sit there for a while. These are my thoughts.
Well, those are good thoughts. And my thoughts, though, are on the order of the additives. The additives are in there at small amounts to start with. I mean, like less than 1%. If you are diluting less than 1% to 50 to 1, you've got less than a thimbleful of maybe what you think it's making the difference.
Yeah, I can see that.
That's kind of my thinking. If it's got a protein, you're not getting much of it. The next ad was one that really caught my eye, and it was Groomer's Choice, which is interesting because this is the company that Show Season has united with. And what I saw was the fragrance Pistachio Dream. Wow, what does pistachio smell like? I thought. I know I like pistachio nuts, but I can't conjure up in my mind the fragrance of pistachio.
I think it's going to smell very much like green tea, which is the second name on the label.
Oh, it's a green tea with aloe, green tea, and lemongrass extracts. And and now here's the thing about the digital issue of Groomer to Groomer. On the digital issue, at the bottom of most of the ads, there's a link to learn more, and it takes you to the website.
Yes, I went there.
Oh, I love that. I love that feature. I am no longer going to whine about not getting a hard copy of the magazine because I liked that feature so much. Um, but the big selling point of this Crown Coat line of products is fragrance that lasts long.
I see
And
that.
they last long.
There's a lot of A's.
There's a lot of A's there. They make a point. It's gonna last. We can talk about that at another time, whether you really want a fragrance that's so tenacious. that it lasts for a long time. So the first article that I ran into is by Kim Keir, Strengthen Your Brand and Community Ties by Giving Back. Did you read that one?
I did. I thought it was really good.
I liked it too. I thought it had some good ideas, some things that I had done over the decades that I had a business. And it reminded me of one of my failure community hookups. So I don't know if there was an event or how come I did this, but I there was a 2 day situation at a mall where I could set up a booth. And so I took advantage of it and I did some grooming at the booth. And I decided to have a giveaway. And I gave away one grooming, and they get a ticket. And then
Yep.
at the end of the 2 days, we drew the winner. And so I was thinking, like maybe I would get a new client. This was a Great Pyrenees from Marana, which is like 30 miles outside of town, another whole town away, that was a ranch dog
Oh,
and
yikes.
was in dire need of grooming. And I had to groom it for free.
Oh, that is an epic fail.
And it never came back.
Of course not. You're another town away.
And that's the thing with coupons too. People who use coupons, they go with the next coupon. They don't necessarily come back to you without a coupon,
Right.
right?
I agree. Yep.
Yeah, so coupons are a bad idea. Yeah, and then I had coupons one time and it got transferred to about 4 people before it came for collection. People kept giving it to their friends for a gift. Oh, a grooming and transformation. Oh, great. Here, I'll give it to so and so. Yeah. So I don't believe in doing coupons or giveaways. Don't give away your stuff. You can give them a break. If I were to give them a break, I would give it sort of like $10 off or something like that. But no free grooms.
I don't mind an occasional free grooming that is sold at an auction that goes for a cause that I care about. Then I will give that one time only free grooming. But yeah, otherwise, that would be the only exception to that. And it never works out. You don't expect them to come back. It's just a here you go. This is the way I'm doing some charity work. And hopefully they bid you up a lot. But yeah, I thought it had some really good ideas of ways you can give back to the community. And, we all like to do that most of the time.
Yeah, that's okay. I agree, but those are the ones that get passed around a lot,
True.
and you just don't know what you're going to get. So often you're going to get like that backyard chow that nobody can get their hands on, or something like that. And then you end up in a real customer relations challenge.
I put a dollar limit on them when I give a gift certificate like that. Instead of giving away a free groom, I say, here's $100 off or whatever. And that way, then if the dog turns out to be a nightmare like that, at least you're going to get something from for your time. But yeah, if you don't put a top dollar on it, you
Yeah.
get horribly abused. Ugh. All right, what's next?
Well, might as well get to the meat of the matter here because I know we have things to say about the Understanding Your Liquid Tools article.
Yeah, that was kind of a for me. I was not impressed with it. There were a bunch of things that pushed my buttons. So while I was reading through it, I thought, well, I don't want to be horribly negative about everything. I'll just not read the rest of it. Barbara, however, will tackle it a different way.
And this is by Dr. Cliff, and we have our differences, and I'm sure he's aware of it. I really want to read his material and support it. And every time I start reading his article, something grabs me and doesn't let me be a nice person. He has a tendency to make generalization. And so he's talking about not using harsher or more aggressive detergents, but he's not naming names. So you don't know if what you're using has what he's talking about in it. Is this a harsh detergent? Is that a harsh detergent? The most good good cleansing agents are somewhat harsh. Harsh is just a description of the nature of the ionic charge on the anionic surfactant. Is it got is it going to pull a lot of stuff out that you don't want it to remove? What would that be? Well, it would be sodium lauryl sulfate. And that was a foundation surfactant in the early days of dog shampoos. In the beginning, almost everything was made with sodium lauryl sulfate, which is a very harsh detergent. And in fact, all other detergents are measured against the harshness. So it's a 10. Anything else is going to be a 9 or an 8 or a 5 or a 3. Get it? It's the gold standard of strength, the sodium lauryl sulfate. You should find that only in some serious degreasing and dirty dog formulas, not in the shampoos that you're using on your monthly dogs. Got it?
Got it.
And there is a point that he makes that's true, and that's that if you remove too much of the natural sebum and lipids of the dog's skin, it's going to replace that in a hurry. So it ends up overproducing more grease, especially if it has a tendency towards greasy skin in the first place. You take it all off, and it's going to like work like a mother to just like get that back on as fast as it can.
Is there anything we can do to combat that?
Well, that's combated in the formulation of the shampoo. And how you combat that is by having a a less harsh detergent, something like sodium laureth sulfate is considerably less aggressive than sodium lauryl sulfate. And if you mix the two and you use some laurel and some laureth, you don't have to use as much lauryl sulfate to get a good, thorough cleansing. So you're not so likely to overstrip the coat or the skin, right?
Right. That
You
makes sense.
also, if you have a sensitive skin dog and you don't want to go anywhere near that, you can use something like Show Season True Tearless, which is a sulfate free, a no sulfate that has good cleaning ability. It's been carefully formulated to still clean dirty dogs, but it's very mild on the skin. So here he makes his statement. If you need to target a specific issue, make sure you're using the right shampoo for the job. Well, thank you. What is the right shampoo for the job? How do I determine that? You determine that, people, by knowing your ingredients by getting used to your ingredients, by reading your labels, by insisting on complete ingredient disclosure, and then learning how to judge for yourself. Uh, I looked at the Funky Poodle this week because y'all were talking about it on the Facebook page. I love the shampoo formula. Like it is really contemporary. It is really 2025. It is not like 1970. It is not 1990. It isn't even yesterday. It is tomorrow's formula today. And I like that. And I was able to recognize that because I know what those ingredients are and a couple that I had to look up. So if I have to look up an ingredient, and I've been looking up ingredients for decades now, I know that it's novel and new. So, I was very impressed with that. And we're going to talk some more about Funky Poodle.
That's funny. When I looked at that ingredient list, I thought, oh, Barbara's going to like this. And I guess I was right.
Oh, yeah. And I'm going to help others understand what that value is of that shampoo and that ingredient lineup. He says the primary reason for conditioning is to replenish the oils that were removed by the shampoo. If we fail to do this, we leave the skin and hair in a compromised state, making them more prone to dryness, itching, and eventual infection. That's true. So he says conditioners come in two main types: emollients and humectants. Susie, that's not true. He does say some products contain both. Well, I'm going to say most products contain both. And he's not mentioning cationic conditioners. Cationic conditioners are no longer novel or brand new, although there are individual cationic conditioner ingredients that are novel and new. But having that in your conditioner is not a brand new thing. Okay.
Okay.
So here he's talking about emollients, which consists of fat or oils, and it forms a barrier on the skin. Now, he makes this statement: if you apply an emollient to dry skin or hair, it will form a barrier and simply trap the dryness in. Well, I don't think that's accurate at all because, first of all, you've soaked the dog in water, which is adding moisture to the skin. You're using a sophisticated shampoo that probably contains an antistatic, a humectant, and an emollient. So it already has those ingredients that you want in the shampoo. And then also includes them in greater quantities or greater proportions in the conditioner. Um, we just differ on how we view the products. So he talks about, I don't know, it's just he oversimplifies. He's oversimplifying to the point of being inaccurate. He's saying pet skin is about 6 to 8 times more sensitive than human skin. Dry skin in pets often leads to itching, which is frequently misdiagnosed as allergies. Hydrated skin, on the other hand, is healthy skin. Well, that's why we use products that contain hydrating ingredients. And he says, once we understand how these products work, especially conditioners, we can use them more effectively to make our lives easier. You're going to use humectants on everybody. I'm sorry. The truth is, any good cleansing is going to remove sebum. It's going to remove fats and oils from the skin. So always we want to have humectants and emollients.
The line that pushed my buttons the most.
Was
A common question I get is what ingredients should I look for to tell the difference? Unfortunately, reading ingredient lists is only minimally helpful. That's so condescending to all of us that we cannot understand how an ingredient works, an ingredient list gets together, and what parts they provide.
Well, I have a little more sympathy for that statement. Unfortunately, reading ingredient list is only minimally helpful. Well, it's a window. The ingredient list is our only window. Without knowing the quantities, which are proprietary, it's hard to draw conclusions just by scanning the label. Well, you do have the matter of looking for the location in the list, something that's at the end of the list, is going to be very minimal. You're going to know if you've had one of my seminars that the first 5 ingredients are probably the only ones that are there over 1%. And anything that's after fragrance is very minimal. But it is true that some of the very newest ingredients do not need to be present in the same kind of proportion as some of our older standby ingredients.
Best Shot the Max is a perfect example of that.
Yeah, I mean, especially polymers, copolymers, cross-linked polymers, um, these fancy ingredients, a little dab will do ya. A little bit of silicone goes a long way because it's a very spreadable molecule, a very spreadable molecule. So you don't have to have that up in the first 5 ingredients. And that's invalidating my whole purpose of life.
That's probably why it pushed my buttons. I'm like, no, we've spent 10 years educating people on what those ingredients are and what they do in the formula. And he's like, oh, you guys couldn't possibly get any information from that. I get tons of information from that. I really do. Not only that, you get how honest the company is because if water shows up in the middle, you know that they're not putting it volume. There's things to learn there. Anyway, that is all.
Well, he says here the best way to evaluate whether a product has humectant products is by testing it on your hands or your pets. However, your hands may be your best judge. Well, I'll tell you something. I always try out a new conditioner on my hands because there is not a great deal of difference between a hand lotion and a hair conditioner. There isn't.
And if you happen to have hairy knuckles, it'll make them feel really nice if it's a good conditioner.
So I rub some of the conditioner on the back of my hand, and I can tell if it's going to absorb into the skin or if it's going to be an oily film. Just if it doesn't disappear shortly, it's going to be more of a film former and leave more of a greasy feel. I think our hands do tell us a lot. And of course, if you're a bather or if you're bathing your own dogs and your hands are getting torn up, the first thing you want to look at is your products.
And your rinsing technique. Rinse your hands after you're done with the shampoo or the conditioner.
I don't want to go on and on about this. I just find it oversimplifying.
We've hit 45 minutes on Dr. Cliff. I just looked. Yeah, I'll cut some of it. I'll make it pretty.
And then he says, selecting the right product, just like reaching for the right tool when building something, is essential to achieving the best results. Thank you, Dr. Cliff. I agree. 100%.
Then there's this Toro shampoo line. Did you have anything to say about that one?
Oh, I want to say I love that ad.
You love the dog in the
I
ad.
I love the dog. I love Mackenzie Murphy looking so glamorous. That ad makes me want to identify with that grooming that dog. I want that to be me. I want that shit.
Did you want it enough to click on the learn more?
I did. I have looked on the Taro products and I just get turned off. I want to like them because some people love them, but I just get turned off. For one thing, on the learn more, they are saying amber power being brown color. Well, ugh. How about purple power? Yeah. Amber doesn't carry a powerful, healthy, great. It doesn't carry a healthy image to me. So I am not looking at. Are their products all brown?
I don't know, but they say why silicones are harmful, why parabens are harmful, why SLS are harmful, and why mineral oil are harmful.
And a very inaccurate statement of why silicones are harmful. Read it.
Provides an artificial effect of smoothness, covers the skin and the coat with an invisible film, and does not let the skin and coat breathe properly.
Okay, I'm going to say this 100 times more before I die. Silicone is a breathable film. The molecules are so big that there's space between them. Silicones allow air in and out. They just keep moisture in. They hold moisture in, but they do not suffocate in any way, manner, or form. Got it?
Got it. Of course, I knew that. I didn't like their marketing, but I loved the picture. I'm there with you.
I loved the ad, but I just can't get behind the the marketing.
Speaking of ads, let me play an ad right now. Let me tell you about Best Shot's newest addition to the Ultramax Pro line. Ultramax Hair Hold is a flexible hairspray that can be layered on for a stronger hold. Ultramax Hair Hold Spray is great, but my favorite new product is called the Max, and I won't groom without it. It's a fragrance-free ultra-concentrate conditioner and detangler. It reduces drying time and handles undercoat and tangles like magic. Just a few drops in the final rinse or spray it on and dry it in. Contact your favorite Best Shot distributor or learn more online at bestshotpet.com. Grooming success begins with Best Shot in your tub. Made from the best stuff on earth.
What did you think about the excessive movements article by
Chris Bear Anthony.
Yeah.
I liked it. I thought it was pretty good. Because it's one of those things that I'm always screaming about. Put your tools where you can reach them, put them back in the same spot, take away the multiple passes of the dryer, just be methodical. All good.
and it requires sometimes you have to take a look at yourself to realize what your excess movements are. The one thing that she said that I don't agree with is that we should stop rough cutting. And of course, as a scissor person, I understand her saying that, but I would use scissors that are for rough cutting. And sometimes if you have just a really thick coated dog that you want to leave some hair on, but it's in bad shape, to rough cut it really can save coat. And you're actually saving time bathing and drying a lot of excess length. So it's a kind of something that's in between a shave down and a comb it all out kind of a thing. But I totally agree that a lot of us are not efficient. And I lost efficiency as I reached the end of my active grooming career.
Yeah.
I just did. I just noticed that I was like not being systematic, not starting in one place and finishing and going around once, but doing a back leg, a front leg, the head,
Yep.
whatever, kind of going more with what the dog was presenting me rather than getting the dog used to it. Actually, dogs like to be able to predict your movements.
They love routines.
They love routines, and even something as small as the routine on the table gives them a sense of confidence in the world and in their knowledge of what's going to happen when you are efficient and systematic. And I tried my hardest to teach my assistant Yvonne that what systematic meant, but she didn't never grasp it. She never understood.
What do you think of Daryl Connor's article about artificial intelligence as part of your grooming toolkit?
I was glad to see that
Yep.
because it's time to stop hating on artificial intelligence and start looking to see how we might use it for our own advantage.
That genie's not going back in the bottle.
That genie's not going back in the bottle, so you might as well put it to use for yourself. And I thought
I
she had a
thought she
lot
had
of
good
good
tips.
ideas. Good tips, good ideas. It was worth the issue right
Yep,
there.
I agree. And the other one, because we're going to run out of time, the commission based pay and why it doesn't work in grooming anymore. I think that she's right on with that.
I think that's a conversation that needs to be had repeatedly.
Yep.
I grew up, I learned, I apprenticed by commission. I hired and I ran my business by commission, and I hated it. And I always thought it should be hourly. And there's a groomer in Tucson, Mary Alice, and she had a salon and she did hourly plus a little bit of commission that kept the groomers engaged in the business, that gave them a skin in the game.
I like that too. I think either way, it's nice
Yeah,
to be able to predict what you're going to make at the end of the day, whether you are a dog bather or a dog groomer or the receptionist. It's nice to know kind of what your salary is going to be so you can plan your life because it's hard when you can only rely on guessing at what your week is going to be, especially if you're not the one booking the dogs.
I just think that 50% shortchanges the business because, like they pointed out, you have to pay taxes on that income. There's a lot of hidden fees to the business. Um,
There is, and it gets overlooked. And I mean, you should be able to include like your health care in there so that people are getting their health care. But that all
right.
needs to be then adjusted for in the end so that the business owner still makes their money. Because if everybody isn't making a living along the trail, then it's a fail for the whole system.
I agree. And I'm glad she wrote it. And I think everybody should read that and give it consideration and stop expecting 50%, because 50% of what you want, what you want to do when looking for a job is looking for a happy, thriving business where there's happy employees and
Low turnover.
yeah, low turnover, loyal employees. You're going to get much less turnover if you're paying a fair wage and it's all transparent and explainable. And by all means, let people keep their tips.
Yes. It was nice to see the Pacific Northwest pictures.
Those were good pictures, and I kind of like the Salon Spotlight article. I think
Oh, yes.
I thought that was a good article.
Did you see how well it was themed? The
Yeah,
portholes on the walls, and oh, it was just really cool.
I just thought that salon really deserved a spotlight. And I liked her saying image is everything. And by all means, smile. Don't forget to smile and how you are with your customers. And all the time that I had my salon, I think I only had one assistant that really was on board with our appearance. We would like coordinate our color for tomorrow, and we mostly wore scrub tops. We looked professional. And then I had an assistant for 15 years who wore tank tops and shorts below her knees and shoes with
It was a
socks.
look.
I How did I put up with all that for 15 years? I don't know. I
I
just
don't
really
know.
didn't want to hire anybody else. I didn't want to go through it again. Um,
Plus, she did other things, so that was
she
very
did
nice
other
of her.
things. Yvonne, I love you. I miss you. Yeah, but I mean, I loved it when there was some matching and where I would get dressed in the morning and try to look like a hairstylist,
Like a team,
like an artist, team.
like you're pulled together.
Yeah, we don't all have to have the same thing exactly, but some kind of a theme, doggy stuff or whatever.
Yep. I loved the nautical theme in their shop. I think it was really cool. It was all throughout, and I would love to work in a spot like that. That would be fun.
Yeah, I thought that was good. Oh, did you see that Quadruped is now giving away free 16-ounce samples? They must be getting desperate. And I saw an ad for Lave. They are really making a comeback, at least an attempt.
Well, they're trying to anyway.
The Otero Mad X, I had a lot to say about that, but we don't have time to do it today. Um,
I'll put it on the list.
I want to clarify some stuff. Information on their website seems to suffer from translation.
Too bad. That's easy to fix.
They said that this Otero Mad X has chlorionic fixative. AI doesn't recognize that.
Huh.
When I asked AI, what is chlorionic fixative in a dog conditioner, they said, it ain't happening.
Surprise.
I like the postcards and greeting cards. I think it is timely now if you were to be the one to go back to mail stuff.
Postcards?
Yeah, I think that might be a cool way to be different,
Yeah.
is by sending a thank you for joining our practice kind of a thing, only thank you for choosing our salon for your grooming needs,
Yeah.
maybe after their second visit. That's a handout, and that's another whole topic that we're going to save.
That will be next week's topic.
It is, and we're prepared.
Yeah. We certainly are. All right. Well, thanks for being here, everybody. We really appreciate it. Remember to support our sponsors. Remember to support us because we love doing this, but it does cost a little bit to keep everything going. So, anyway, happy grooming. See you next time on the GroomPod. Bye.
And thank you, Jennifer Lee, for the beautiful flowers. And thank you, Crystal Dunn, for the help with the allergies. Thank you all.